Hello everyone, Chaminson here, and this is a continuation of our Debian Training series. Today we're going to be learning the Linux file folder names and functions, and we're going to start introducing some commands to help you navigate the file system. So we're going to learn cd, the cd command, which is for change directory, mkdir, which is make a directory, ls for listed directory, whereas locates a file, touch creates a blank file, I should say blank file, and rm delete a file or folder, and cat, which was display the contents of a file. Okay, so let's get started here. So now I'm in our operating system. And so the first thing we're going to do is use the change directory file, command. Okay, so if I do change directory and I go to /, which is the abbreviation for the root of the file system. So change directory space and then the directory you want to go to. Okay. Now I want to do the list command. So I'll tell you some of the most common switches. So for instance, if I want to do ls, I have some different options. If I want to see it ls just to see what folders are in this directory, I do ls. But this will just list the folders that are in this directory. It doesn't tell me permissions or who owns these files and folders. It doesn't show anything that could be hidden. So if I do ls-a, okay, I'll see that I get 2 extra directories that are hidden. Okay, but I want all that, but I also want to see what who owns these files and what permissions I have. So I can do ls-list all. ls-list all. Okay, and now I can see it's owned by root. I have, this is a directory. I have read, write, execute, and those are the permissions that I have. So then now what we can do is we can start seeing what these folders are and what's the critical part. So we'll start off with bin. Okay, so bin is this is where all of your commands are stored. If I go to bin, you'll notice that these commands, here is the ls command. Okay, you'll see if you're familiar, nano is definitely is there. So this is kind of like this is like the system32 folder of Windows. These where all the commands are stored. These where all the executables are. If you delete a file here, the command will be done. You won't be able to use it at all. Okay, and once you get familiar with scripting, you can shove your scripts in here and execute them as regular commands. So I can just do script. And if I have a script folder, that's where it's going to go. So pretty much when you type in script, the operating system looks in this file, in this folder /bin to say, oh, is there a script? Oh no, there's nothing there. Okay, so that's a very critical folder, because without this folder you can't run any commands. Okay, now if I want to go back one directory, I can do ... Okay, and then that brings me back one directory. Okay, now the boot folder is used to put in certain startup files. Okay, so let's see what a typical default one looks like. Okay, so things like grub and stuff like that are in here. Okay, dev is where all your, so in Linux, everything is a file. Literally everything is a file. So your mouse is a file, your keyboard has a file. So if I were to go to dev, you can't open any of these files, but you'll see that, for instance, your CPU has a file. Your mouse should be, there should be one, I believe, for a mouse. These SDAs, that's for your hard drives. Okay. Your TTY lines, that's for things like SSH. Okay. So this is another critical app. You delete this, well, all of the hardware has essentially been deleted. Okay. Now the etc directory. The etc directory is like the Windows control panel. Okay. In here is all of the settings for specific things. So for instance, the Windows has the schedule tasks. In Linux, it's the cron. Okay, in Windows is cron tab. So we'll learn about this. We'll learn about this in the next video. But essentially, in Windows, you'll use the system control panel to access, your schedule tasks. This is, just the command line version and the Linux version of that. Other things are, you got things like your Python. If you're running Python, all the settings, stuff like that, will be stored in here. Yeah, so this is a definite, there's a lot of apps that you install, a lot of the configuration files and folders are listed, are created in here. Okay, and now this is the home directory. So in Windows, you have C, Windows, you get your C, and then users and documents, or documents and users, I believe they call it. And then there's like your home folder. This is it. So if I do lsla, all the root has its folder, and then for instance, every user will have a folder in here. So I have another user called Sean on here, and you'll see that, hey, I can see the folders he creates. So I can go like this. Now if I want to go back to my home folder, I can do cd space in the tilde, or the tilde, like the squiggly line, to go back to my home. And now I'll introduce the touch command. So touch is a pretty simple command. All it does is create a folder. Okay, so a file. Now I can do test.txt, and that'll create a new file. And if I do lsla, you'll see test.txt. Okay, the reason why I'm displaying this is that I want to show you how you know if you're at home. So how you know if you're at home is that you'll see the pound sign right here. That's how you know that you are in your home directory. So you'll just see tilde and pound. Okay, you won't see something like this. Like when I'm in var, etc, you'll see that there is the pound, but it's not the tilde and pound. That's the best way to know if you're in your home directory. So the home directory is abbreviated with the tilde and pound sign, and obviously no other directory in front of it. Another way of knowing it, I should have added this to the list of what we're going to learn today, is the PWD, which stands for print working directory. Okay, so you'll see that I'm in print working directory. I'm currently in /root. So say I was in etc pwd. I'm in etc. Okay. So any file or folder or anything that I make in my home directory will show up obviously in my home directory. So that's something. So any user created file that shows up here will show up in the home directory. So things like scripts that you want to push so that a specific user, you could just specific user create and use it, but not system wide. You can just move the script into this directory and then they can use it. So yeah, that's the home directory. Okay, lib is for libraries. You'll need that. You won't need that on a daily basis, and this is 64-bit libraries. This is more for things like when you have Python or PHP, stuff like that. The library files will be located in here. The lost and found is used, like it's on every hard drive. I've never used anything in here. I believe that things like if a directory during a failure was created or something like that, it gets thrown into lost and found. To be honest, I've never used it and I've never had to, and I don't really know exactly what it does. But I will double check and update the description once I find a pretty reasonable explanation as to what it is. I know that even Windows clients have it. I personally think it has something to do with like block recovery or like a hard disk error when it's trying to write, and then when it recovers, it throws the file in there. If you can give me an example of what that's for, or if you can help me out there, that'd be great. Moving on to the media folder. Okay, so in the media folder is right now it shows my CD-ROM. Okay, and so the media folder is things that have been mounted at this time. So right now there's a mounted CD-ROM. Okay, so if I mount, let's say, a USB drive or something like that, it'll show up in here. Okay. Okay, so now if I go to the next folder is opt. Okay, so this is where third-party apps are installed. Sometimes things like sorry about that, guys. So right now the opt folder, certain third-party apps write to this folder. Not a whole lot of them, because normally they're either in the etc directory or the var directory, but some apps will say that you got to edit a file in the opt directory. I just wanted to bring one thing up. So when I was talking in the media folder about a mounted point, it's for like only removable drives get mounted in the media folder. Okay, things like hard drives and stuff will be in the mount folder. So if I go mnt, okay, so physical drives that you mount, so let's say another hard drive or something like that, will be in the mnt. Okay. Oh, we go back here. Okay, so now we'll move on to the root directory, which we're already in. Okay, I think I've already explained that. that is the root's home directory. Okay. Now we move on to sbin. Okay, sbin is like system. These are apps used by the system to do its day-to-day task. Okay, so you get things like the file system tab, which we'll learn about later. fdisk, these are system commands. So bin had things like your ping and your extension commands. These are system commands. So it's the difference between the system folder in Windows and your system32 folder in Windows. Both critical. One's more critical than the other. Okay. Okay. So then we'll move on. We'll move on to the temp folder. So the TMP folder, as you can imagine, is for temporary files. Anything that you write in here, okay, once you reboot, they'll be gone. Okay, so that's a pretty simple explanation, I guess. Okay. Now there's the USR folder. So these are apps for these apps are program libraries and documentation, stuff like that. For all these are for user related apps, user related programs. Okay. Okay. And then there's the Var directory. Now the Var directory is where all of your logs and even if you install Apache will be here. These are variable files. So that's what var is. So things like I said, for instance, your logs, Apache writes here, so your HTML files, that's a default directory. For Apache, like I said, everything here, it could be changed. But yes, so this is where you get different variable files that right here. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to learn how to create a directory. So how to create a directory is pretty simple. The command is mkdir for make directory, and then the directory name, say test. Okay. Now, if I wanted to put test in, make a directory in var, like we were just at, I can do /var/test. And now if I go to cd/var, test is in there. You can also see it through ls. Test is there. Okay. Now the user that creates the directory will own the directory. So these are the owners, root, and the person who owns the directory can inherently write to the directory, and then any other users, depending on the permissions you set, will need to either run in sudo or a super user to use the root account to write to it, or you can set it so anyone can write to the folder. Okay. So that's how to create a directory. Say that you don't want the directory, you just do rm. Okay, and then if you just do rm test, no, it's a directory. You can't do that. So in order to use the rm command properly, okay, use rm, and then you got to specify -r for recursive, f for folder, and then test. Okay, so the -r for recursive is anything in the folder gets deleted, and f is for the folder, and then test is obviously declaring the test folder. Sorry, yes, the test directory, that's the one that you want to delete. So we've gone over test, make directory, list. Okay, we haven't done touch just yet. We've done, sorry, where is yet. We've done touch, rm. Okay, now we're going to use the cat. Okay, so let me just use the touch command that we learned and say nano test.txt, write a bunch of junk in there. Now let's say I wanted to display the contents of test.txt. I can just do cat test.txt just to see what it is. Okay, now cat has a lot of other functions. For instance, I can do, this is a bit more of an advanced command, so just bear with me for a minute. I'll show you. I hope we don't lose track, don't get you lost here. So for instance, let's say do cat auth.log. Okay, so you'll see here that these are this is the authorization.log, and then anyone who logs in to this OS with any username will show here. So there was a session open and closed for root. That means that something happened. So either when I logged in, logged out, something like that, right? So I can literally do cat auth.log, and then I can use two arrows pointing here, and then I can do /root/test.txt. Okay, so what I've just done is told cat display this folder but redirect the output to root test.txt. So if I go to test.txt now, I can see that not only is my the garbage line that I put there, but the entire contents of this folder, of the file from var log, is in this file that I created. So you can always use cat to redirect output to a different file. So my suggestion to you is that the commands that I've learned, that I've taught you today, take the time on your own OS and learn exactly what each one of these which one of these commands, what their full capability is. If you want to know more, you can always use in your OS, type in man for manual, and then cat. Okay, and then each command, except I believe the cd command, has a manual for it, so you can see exactly what you can do with cat. Okay, and these are all the different switches and stuff like that. Let's see if cd had one. No, I believe cd is the only one, for some reason, doesn't have a manual for it. Okay, now binary files. So if I go back to our bin file right here, it will only find like things like executables, stuff like that. So if I were to do where is ping, see /bin/ping, where is ls /bin/ls. So if you're looking for a specific executable or binary file, that's where the where is command comes in. Okay. Okay, so we should change this to locate a binary. Alright, so I hope I've explained the file system to you and how to navigate it, and we introduced some different commands today, and I hope it's clear to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the video description below. If you need any help on any of these commands, you can also just send me an email. I'm always glad to help, my suggestion, just challenge yourself, use these commands, and you know what, send me an email on how you've been using these commands and certain switches and stuff that you've been using. I really like to see how you progress. Our next video will be up shortly on how we'll learn some more stuff, and thanks for watching.